Hello again for another, I guess, draw with me story time type video. Still don't know what I'm going to call these. Craft and chat? I kind of like that one. But today I'm telling more work stories, but this time not from the science field, but from Pizza Hut. I worked at a Pizza Hut for 4 years throughout my whole time in college, pretty much full time. And I, went from being the dishwasher to the assistant general manager by the time I was finally done with them. And I say finally because during 2020, after I left my job with the state, I was sort of in between jobs and things were not great, work-wise, and we decided to move back to where I used to live when I was in college. Or at least back to that area, I should say. And, my friends at the Pizza Hut I worked at were just like, hey, we really need someone to come manage the store, help out. If you need a job, let us know. And so I went back for maybe like a month and a half I worked there. I don't remember how long. I wasn't there very long. I ended up finding another job pretty quickly. Which worked out because I slipped and fell while working at that Pizza Hut and got a pretty bad concussion. And they told me to not come back to work for like 2 weeks to recover. And then the day after I had gotten that concussion, the job I had applied for at a water testing lab called me and said, hey, we want to hire you. So I was like, great, I'll start in 2 weeks when I recover. But this isn't about that part. This is about the time I had to work through a tornado apparently touching down outside of town, and all the people that still wanted pizza during a literal tornado. Which, so originally I'm from Utah. I didn't live there very long, but long enough I knew tornadoes. I'm very scared of tornadoes. I'm glad I live in a state where big tornadoes are not common. But we do get them. They happen more often than I think people realize in Maine. But definitely in central Maine, they're pretty uncommon, which is where I was at the time. But one night, so I was pretty much when I was working there this very last time I was there, I was working open to close because there's so few people who wanted to come back to work, and especially so few people who wanted to run the store and deal with people during COVID at a freaking Pizza Hut of all places. So I was working a lot of hours. I was very overtired and very just done. I was ready to be done. I thought when I had graduated college and left that job originally I was done, but no, I was more than ready to never step foot in a Pizza Hut again. And this day definitely contributed to that. So as we were getting close to closing up for the night, which thank goodness because of COVID we were closing earlier, but we were still staying open until I think 9 o'clock, because I think this was a Friday or Saturday, if I remember. It was busy like a Friday or Saturday usually was. And we were getting a lot of people who wanted to get I think we had shut delivery down early that day. Just because we were having really bad weather. It was, torrential downpours. It was crazy and crazy high winds. But we were still having a lot of people ordering and coming to pick up their food. And so we were waiting for these people to show up, and, it was me and these two other girls. I think that was it. And our delivery driver. Yeah, there was only 4 of us there. And the delivery driver must have been out delivering somewhere or something. I don't think he was there. So he must not have shut delivery down that early. But we were definitely we were winding down. We were ready to be done for the day. And we got all these orders in. And then the phone of one of the girls working in the kitchen with me that night starts going off. It didn't make the regular like emergency alert system sound that you're used to like hearing on TV, but it was making this like very scary, like loud, screeching, beeping noise. I was asked her, I'm like, what the heck is that? And she's like, oh, we have a tornado warning. Not like a tornado watch, but like a warning. There is a tornado. It is imminent. It is going to happen in this area, which, you know, our parking lot was flooding. Like, seriously, legitimately flooding. I was shocked there wasn't water coming into the building already. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. They don't pay me enough to deal with, like, intense weather on top of everything else. Like, I don't know what to do. People were, like, coming up to the drive-thru and complaining, like, your parking lot's flooded in spots. I'm like, well, I make pizzas. I don't fix parking lots. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's not my problem, unfortunately. Just drive around the puddles. I don't know. And so I'm kind of shitting bricks at this point. I'm just like, there's a tornado warning for this town. It could happen anywhere. The lights are flickering, and I'm starting to, like, kind of encourage, like, the two girls working with me in the kitchen, like, we need to take all the stuff out of our make table, all of the, like, food and toppings and stuff. I guess it is all food. That would be weird if it wasn't. Take all the toppings and fixings for the pizzas off the make table and put them in the cooler in the event that we lose power. Because we were already late enough into the night that, like, if we got more orders, we could sort of just build them off the cart that we stack all of the toppings on to, like, keep overnight in the cooler. Like, we don't need to have them all out, and it's easier to do that when the lights are still on than when you lose power and it's dark in there. So I'm already, like, sort of preemptively, like, having the feeling that we were going to lose power. I'm like, well, it's fine because it's already the end of the day. Like, you know, as long as we can get these last few orders taken care of, great. And, like, our very last pickup order comes in. We still, like, not seeing any tornadoes, but definitely looking out there, and it's definitely, the rain was terrible enough as it was, and it finally, like, started to let up, and this guy shows up, and he's picking up his order, like, almost an hour late. He says he was stuck in the drive-thru for the McDonald's in town for over an hour, apparently, because the drive-thru not only was flooded, but they had lost power. And so everyone in the drive-thru was stuck because there was no way to get out because of, I guess, the way it had flooded and just, like, the way people were driving and, like, parked. And then, of course, like, people weren't able to get their food or pay for their food that they had ordered because of they didn't have power. And everyone was just stuck. It was a gridlock, and apparently everybody decided, you know, it's torrentially downpouring and we're having tornado warnings, but I want McDonald's. And then they wanted Pizza Hut after that. It really, really amazed me that so many people were coming out. And I should have known this because I worked through 4 main winters at this Pizza Hut, knowing that if we had blizzards and, like, you know, schools, literally everything would be shut down except for Pizza Hut, and people would still be driving out to come, like, order pizza. It just amazed me. Like, I would rather risk my life than not have pizza for dinner tonight, apparently. It was the same way with this, but it was a lot more scary for me, because I guess, like, this, you know, snow is manageable. You can move the snow. It will go away. You can't really do anything about a tornado. It's gonna happen or it's not. It's gonna damage things or it's going to avoid you. Like, I didn't know what to do. It's a pretty structurally sound building we were in. So I was kind of, like, trying to plot out, like, if we see a tornado, we have to go, I guess we would go into the freezer would be the logical place to go because it's a metal box. But, oh man, that was a nightmare. A nightmare on top of a nightmare because people were pissed that they were picking up their food late and pissed that, you know, the rain was happening and it was flooding our parking lot, which are all things, like, yeah, I get being sort of like frustrated and like having to drive around these giant puddles is probably like not very fun, but also I don't know what you expect me to do about it. I guess that's the biggest thing. Like, I hope I never have to work in like a public service job again because I have so much respect for people who do. Because after all the years I was there, oh, I dealt with some real winners at that place, and I would not go back and do it again. But the experience I had, you know, made for a lot of really great stories, and I'm sure I'll probably tell more Pizza Hut stories in the future because I have a lot of them. And they're all equally wild. But the tornado one definitely that's up there. My top 5 worst days at Pizza Hut. For sure. So thank you for watching again and listening. Hopefully the story was enjoyable and probably relatable for some folks. I'm sure there's other people who have had to deal with insane weather and people just still believing they need to go shopping or buying food during that extreme weather. This is America, after all. We sure like to just ignore what's happening around us and act like everything's fine. It's our national sport. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.